Welcome to Food for Thought Thursdays, and I'm super excited to be back here with you. We are here every single Thursday at 10 a.m. So slot this in your diary if you can make this time, or make sure that you catch the replay every single week because I'm here to actually just help support you on your journey to eating disorder recovery, or if you are struggling with disordered eating, this is also for you. So, if you are new to my group or to Instagram, welcome. First of all, welcome to my community. My name's Stel Coombe-Heath, binge and emotional eating recovery specialist. And I do this because I struggled with two eating disorders, binge eating disorder, orthorexia, as well as body dysmorphia and emotional eating for over 13 years. It was something that was really painful in my life, and I remember just struggling week after week, trying to fix things, losing motivation, being on the wagon, then off the wagon. Put in the comments if you've ever been on the diet wagon, eating healthy, being in a space where everything seems fine, and then next minute you don't even know what's happening, but all of a sudden things are just not fine and you back binge eating every single day or every second day, and it just feels so absolutely painful, so out of control. So that was me. So if you can relate to that, put a hell yeah in the comments, I understand your pain, and I'd love for you to know that you are not alone, that this is a journey that I've personally gone on. And, I think my lowest moment was when it was about 3 years ago. I was sitting on my pantry floor. I was hugging my dog in absolute tears. I have just binged on literally like a full McDonald's drive-through. Then I cleaned out my pantry. I even made a dough out of flour and sugar because there was nothing else in the house left to eat, and I binged on that as well. I felt so ill. I wanted to make myself sick. I wasn't one to purge in the form of making myself ill through vomiting. My form of purging was through restrictive dieting and exercise. So I was sitting there feeling absolutely like an absolute failure. Like my whole life has just, you know, revolved around food and how to make up for food, and how losing control like that just really, really felt so painful, and I just couldn't live with that anymore. I couldn't live with that. And that's when I started, that's the night when I actually started looking for help. I started looking for someone who could actually help me. For many years, I went to look for help through psychologists and professionals, but because back then my eating behaviors did not follow a statistical diagnostic, I was basically told that there's nothing wrong with me. I just needed to manage my stress a little bit better, and this was just a little bout of emotional eating. So, for over 13 years, I struggled with this notion, sitting with this relationship with food where it drove all my decisions, it drove absolutely everything I did. I felt so out of control with food, but there was no diagnosis for me. There was like, no, you just need to manage your stress. You just stress eating. So I felt lost. I felt hopeless. And hopefully, like, if you feeling lost and hopeless, hopefully this is something that you can now relate to, or let me know in the comments, or if you have felt quite isolated with your behaviors with food, and how that's kind of played out in your life. I know I kind of felt like, how can I have everything else right, like my career, I have a loving husband, I have amazing friends, yet I have this secret relationship with food that is just breaking me down and hurting me so much in my deep core. And sorry, I do get a bit of like teary when I talk about this, because like it was just such a hard time for me. You know, it was just such a difficult experience for me to go through week after week, month after one month, trying to find things that are going to work and just coming back to nothing. So I 100% understand if you are in that situation. And I just realized that I need to plug this in. But anyway, so I just wanted to talk today about how to stay motivated when you are making changes in your life, when you go and start this binge eating recovery journey. How can you stay motivated to keep going? And one of the first things that I teach my clients in the Food Freedom program is to get off the perfectionism bandwagon. And that is, the perfectionism bandwagon is something we've been taught in the diet industry. They if you are perfect on your eating plan, if you perfect in your exercise plan, then your body will change. And usually their promise is you will lose weight. And their promise is that all your problems will go away. And we know that that doesn't work. Give me a hell yeah if you've tried that many times and that doesn't work. Put that in the comments. I'd love to know, because I can't be the only one that went through this. So we try and be perfect in our eating regimes, our exercise regimes, and that adds a lot of pressure. It adds a lot of pressure for us to be perfect. And the minute we have one morsel of sugar, for example, or the minute we do one small thing that's not according to that perfect plan, then our minds, then our food zombie mind goes, well, you see, you're not perfect at this anyway. You might as well, and here's where you can finish the sentence, but this is what it sounded like for me. You might as well binge now because you fucked this up, and we'll start again tomorrow, or we'll start again on Monday. And that is how my life went week after week. And because I was in that perfectionist mindset. So the minute I had something with sugar in, my mind just went, that's it. You've messed this up. You're a failure. You might as well just go back to eating all the sugar or eating all the carbs, and then we'll cut them all out again on the Monday or whatever date I decided. So perfectionism is what keeps us from staying on track. So allowing yourself to be more flexible in your food choices, but also letting go if you can't get to a restaurant that serves your foods, or the particular foods that you want to eat. Being okay with that. If your auntie cooks you a meal with love, but unfortunately it has carbohydrates in it, and you're like, well, I'm not eating carbs. Being more okay with that and going, well, this has been made with love. I'm just gonna enjoy this. That's gonna start breaking some of that perfectionism, and that's gonna start help you stay on track for longer. But the actual question we had was, how do we keep the motivation going? And this is a very interesting question, because motivation is short-lived, and we all think that we don't have enough willpower, we don't have enough motivation to keep things going. And if you want to know a little bit more, I'll go more into this in my webinar next week. I'll put the link in the comments below in Facebook, on Instagram. Link is in my bio for my webinar next week, where we will be talking about how to heal your relationship with food even if you don't have any willpower. But willpower is something that's short-lived. And I showed a few weeks ago in my podcast an image of an iceberg. And at the surface we have healthy eating, we have exercise, and we have little mindset things like, those motivational pictures we see where, and we think, yeah, that mindset is going to keep us motivated. However, the things that really drive our eating behavior sits below the surface, sits in our subconscious and unconscious level, actually. These are things that have been ingrained and built into your behavior over time. I've been listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he specializes in neuroplasticity, right? And he talks about how, we can say our affirmations and we can have that motivational picture like on Instagram, and we can kind of keep ourselves motivated for a moment or two. But if our body has been trained to act and behave in a certain way through habits and through just certain behaviors, we can say as many affirmations as we like. Our body and mind will not be in sync. So you can say I'm healthy, you're going to say I'm going to stick to this eating plan. However, your body's going to go, I don't think so. I don't think so, because I know at 3 o'clock this afternoon you're going to have a sugar craving, and I'm going to make sure that you get that sugar. Because that's just what we do at 3 o'clock. That's what we do, and that's just like a broad example. The 3 o'clock rush, or the three o'clock cravings. That's how the body is. The body is built on long grain habits, long grain beliefs, and long grain thoughts. So when we use motivation to keep us going, that's just on the surface. And like anything on the surface, that like any wave in the ocean, if we keep with that scenario, that kind of blows away after a while. And then we left with the actual DNA or the makeup that we've got, which is our beliefs, our thoughts, our emotions that drive our actual behavior. So you have one little thing that knocks you off course. All of a sudden you're finding that you need sugar for comfort eating, and then all of a sudden you find yourself feeling back out of control with food because your perfectionist mind has gone, well, now you fucked it up, you've eaten sugar, or now you've gone and eaten that comfort food, now you've messed it up. So we go back into those patterns. So it's not really about motivation, it's about starting to heal your thoughts. It's starting to heal the things that are below the surface, and that takes practice. Often we don't even know those thoughts exist. I talk about with my clients about automatic negative thoughts, or ants as they are known as. And these ants operate in our mind day after day. They are just in there all the time. You don't even notice that it's happening. It kind of just comes and goes, and you're like, what the hell? And we think like over 60,000 thoughts a day. And guess what? We repeat most of the same thought over and over and over in our mind. So if we now have this repeated automatic thought pattern happening at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of our subconscious, and we recite a little affirmation or do a little checklist to keep us motivated, eventually those thought patterns are going to rule what we think about. Eventually, those are the things that are going to drive our behavior and how we feel. We're going to probably feel, oh, what's the point of saying these affirmations? They don't really work. Or what's the point of making meal prep? That doesn't really work for me. We need to get to the bottom of those thought patterns. If we can start just even understanding that they are there. And that is just such an amazing thing when I actually did this myself, and when I do this with my clients, when we actually realize how we are wired, like neurologically and unconsciously, then we can start making changes to unwire and rewire the brain, rewire our behaviors. But that takes time. And we always want motivation because motivation is quick paced. You see a picture, you get motivated, you maybe exercise for a day or two, and then it's like, it's gone. We need to dig deeper into the surface.